Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Planner in the Press. I'm your host, Phil Hartwell. And today I'm welcoming in my very special guest, Krisy Thomas. Good morning, Krisy.
Good morning, Phil. Thank you so much for having me. I love getting to watch you do things, so I'm excited to be joining you today.
I'm excited to have you on the show. It's great to see you. So, Krisy is a master certified wedding planner and owner of Southern Sparkle Weddings. Tell me, Krisy, first of all, a little bit about Southern Sparkle Weddings and what part of the country you serve and what kind of services you offer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Southern Sparkle Wedding and Event Planning is a team of certified wedding planners located in Tennessee. We cover Nashville, Memphis, and Jackson, but we also travel all over the country for weddings as well. We are an award winning wedding planning team. I've got the best team members, and we have some of the most amazing clients. We will be celebrating a decade of our business in 2023. So, cannot believe it's been this long, but we love it so much.
That is so exciting. So you have yourself, and then you have a team of, you said, three other planners that work on in your company as well.
Yes, and they are all certified. Also, Madison is also a master certified wedding planner as well. And then I have
Oh,
a slew of assistants who are also certified. So we're kind of obsessed with the bridal society.
I love that. Well, we're obsessed with our wedding planners, and we're so proud to have you as a member of our of the Bridal Society, a lifetime member. But let me ask this then. I guess that leads me into my next question. What was it that got you into the wedding planning business in the first place?
Honestly, it was definitely my mom's influence. My mom is my role model, and I graduated right college right in the middle of the recession. So no one was hiring at that point. I got engaged and got married, and I hired a wedding coordinator. And my wedding coordinator was so impressed by what I had for her, like the timelines and my list and how organized I was, that she even said, I feel like you should do this. And when my mom heard that, that was always in the back of her ear. So right after our wedding, my mom just kept insisting, you should look into this. You should look into this. And she did her research and she found the Bridal Society actually. And she reached out to me and she said, how about this? I pay for you to go to the certification conference. And I'm an introvert. So the thought of going to a conference by myself scared me to death. So I gave her a counter offer and I said, I'll pay for myself if you will pay for you and you come with me. So I tagged her along, and within the first 5 minutes of Lori speaking, we looked at each other. We were like, oh, this is about to be a game changer
Hmm.
for my career as a wedding planner. And it was.
I love that. So that sounds like a good mom. She was ready to jump in and pay, and but also jumping in, and I'm sure she learned a few things as well, even though she had been a florist for a while. So what did you do with that information once you went through our certification program? Things kind of seemed to take off for you at
It
that
really
point.
did. I had started my business before I got certified. I had only one paying client at that time. I had done a couple of weddings for free at that point. And I've also been planning events with college. And I mean, I've been planning events my whole life. But once I started my career, I got the certification and I realized how much I was doing wrong when I started my business. And luckily, I wasn't too far deep. Luckily, I was only one client in. Her wedding was after the certification. So I took all that information, wealth of knowledge I gained from the certification, and applied it into implemented it into her wedding. And I severely undercharged myself. The Bridal Society taught me the correct pricing, but I also realized within the first hour of working that I undercharged myself. I was like, you did not get paid enough for all this. But that wedding and the certification really kind of planted the steps for my career. I still use wedding vendors from that wedding. That client is still referring me business. I just saw her a couple weeks ago at a wedding where she was a guest, but also she recommended me to that client. And then after I got certified, I essentially took every single thing that Lori taught me and I ran with it. And within a year of getting certified, I was able to quit my job as a bank loan officer assistant, and I was going full time because that's how booked up my calendar was getting. So
Wow.
it totally changed my life. And I just hit the ground running. Every piece of advice she gave, I took to heart. And I feel like that truly helped mold it and shape my career to where it is now for sure.
So it really made a difference to look at wedding planning as a professional career, something that you took very seriously, something that, of course, there's so many moving parts when it comes to planning a wedding. You saw that in your own wedding.
Yeah.
And, but you said you were in banking at the time, but you really had a passion for weddings. You really wanted to help, figure out a way to make a living, a professional living at this thing that you love. And
Exactly.
so doing both those things at the same time must have been a lot of work. I mean, must I can
It was.
imagine.
I mean, essentially, because I knew what my end goal was. I knew my end goal was to be a full-time wedding planner. So while I was working for the bank, I was full time. I was also working full time on my business, building up my branding, meeting all of the vendors, building up that preferred vendor list, getting my business and my ducks in a row there before I was like full force taking on clients because I didn't want to make any mistakes for my clients. I wanted to be fully prepared. And by attending the Bridal Society conference, it gave me the steps needed to obviously execute an amazing wedding day, but also how to build up my business. And with those steps, I was able to truly grow my business for sure.
Yeah, and I think I noticed with you, and you started to rise to the top in my mind, and also Lori's mind as well, as we, see our thousands and thousands of wedding planners all across the country. Krisy Thomas's name kept popping up. We kept seeing these things, and I think part of what made you rise to the top so quickly is you started with the motivation to take care of your clients. That was your motivation. Your motivation wasn't to be a famous wedding planner
Yeah.
or to be in a magazine or to be the biggest wedding planner. Your motivation seemed to be to take care of your clients, and that really just showed, and we saw that happen. Would you say that I'm on track there
My
with your
gosh, absolutely. And it kind of makes my eyes work
motivation?
thinking about it because even to this day, almost 10 years into it, I never take for granted the fact that my clients, the people who hire me, are trusting me with such a big day. And everyone says, well, it's just one day. And my mindset about that is it's not. This is a day that every single year when they celebrate their anniversary, they're going to look back on how they felt on that wedding day. And
Right.
I take that to heart. So I want my clients to look back on their wedding day and be happy with how the day was and not think about how all the stressful moments that happened. The stressful moments are up to me to take care of, not my clients. So
Right.
something that I truly, truly, truly take to heart when it comes to the client experience.
I think that's easy for us as professionals in the wedding industry, having been in it for so many years. It's easy to lose track of that, isn't it? That for us, it might seem like it's another job. It is our job, and we take it very seriously, as you know. But for them, it's their only day. This is the day of days that they will look back on year after year. So that's awesome. So at a certain point, you started rising to the top, and actually, Lori and I started noticing, and now you're through the years have developed into actually a training with us side by side with the Bridal Society. You started taking some of the sections of our wedding planning certification conference and being the presenter for those sections. And so now we're just so happy and proud to have you as part of the team because you're in the trenches every day. We were just talking before we got on the interview about all the weddings you have. I think you have 4 different weddings going on just this weekend, right? And the
Yes.
month of November, as all of our planners are rescheduling all of these events and trying to balance all of that. So tell me what it is that you like, even though it's a balance and all that crazy. What is your favorite part about being a wedding planner?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one. I would say my favorite part about being a wedding planner is definitely the people that I get to meet. I'm very much an introvert, so I don't put myself out there. But however, with wedding planning, I have to. When you're building a business, you're building a brand, you have to really put yourself out there. And I have met some incredible people, clients who are still my friends to this date, the vendors who I work with on a regular basis who end up becoming like family because we're together every single weekend. And just those relationships that I've established when it comes to my clients' families. I love that so much. And I cherish those moments that I've had with them, and very grateful to be part of their wedding day and look back on those moments and continue to make memories with them because we've stayed in connection with each other.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. It's so great to see clients through the years and they start to have kids. And believe it or not, Lori and I are old enough to have clients whose kids are now graduating college. And we're thinking, how in the
How did
world did that
that happen?
happen?
Yeah.
Doesn't make me feel old at all. But it does kind of remind you about the human element of this. Of course, we're all making a living. We're, paying our bills, and that's fine. But we're so intimately involved with
Yeah.
people's lives, and it's so special. So at a certain point, I guess, during your career, I mean, you were just rocking it. You were being published. You are just taking care of business. You're a co-instructor with the Bridal Society, but then even at a certain point, you decided that you wanted to take part in our master certification program. Tell me a little bit about your mindset with that and what you thought about the master certification.
I am the kind of person where there's always room for education. I don't care how long you've been in the industry. I don't care how long you've been doing this. You can continue to learn and grow. So with the master certification, and I saw from the back end how much work Lori was putting into it, that I was like, oh, this is going to be good. And I could not wait to sign up. And I got so tickled during the conference because since I am a co-instructor with Lori, when we were traveling, I was with her, once a month, and I thought I knew everything that she knew. No, she did not share all her knowledge with me. So my mind was blown how I'm with this woman all the time. We're teaching the conference. That alone is so much information. And then on top of what the master certification was, which took me 3 months to complete, that's how much information it was jam packed into it, and how mind blown I was, how much I took from the master certification and was able to apply it to my business, apply it to my client experience. And I thought I thought I knew everything Lori could teach me. Clearly I was wrong. So
The
even
way
oh yeah, my brain was like, she knows all of this stuff. I thought I knew everything about Lori, but oh, it was such a game changer. And it literally, when I say my mind was blown at the end of, the day where I would stop, my head hurt because I was just like, that was so much information, but I loved it so much.
Well, sometimes it takes a little time to let it sink in, I think too. And I think that's why I'm glad that we offer this now in the learn, you go at your own pace
Yes.
format, because as you remember, in the in-person conferences, I mean, you're just kind of bombarded with information, and it's just, you're right. I can see our student, our attendees, they're just writing as quickly as they can, and there's only so much that can fit in the brain. So at one time. So having it in this format where you can even just hit the pause button and say, well, let me just settle with that for a second, because that was a little bit of an aha
Exactly.
moment.
And that's
Yeah.
what took me so long is I did kept pausing it so I could do what she was talking about, especially like the Canva documents and the marketing pieces. I would pause and go, oh my gosh, I want to make that right now. So I would completely change up our packages, documents in that moment as she was talking. And oh, I loved it so much. And even the consultation part. So consultations are my jam. I love initial consultations. That's a section that I teach with the Bridal Society, is the consultations. And even when she covered that, I was adding things to make my consultations even better, even though I thought I was doing a good job already. But she just made it, that information just made it just 1, 2, 3 steps better. With my business. So the master certification was definitely a game changer. And I also love that my associate planner, Madison, took it as well. So we're both have had that much education to aid our clients.
I love that. That kind of makes you, get you on the same page, where you've both been through the same kind of training. And when you're talking about an issue she's having with a client, you say, well, remember what we said in the certification. Let's go on that. And I see it the same way as, any profession. If I were a mechanic, for example, cars and the technology is changing so rapidly that mechanics are often going to continuing education and continuing training and learning the latest technology with cars, right? Even just in the last 4 or 5 years with the chips and all of that. So we treat wedding planning the exact same way. It is such an important day, and it is such an emotional day that you need somebody to help you with all of the crazy details. But you also need someone who has been through all of those crazy details 100 other times to be able to navigate in a professional way, not just with the guests that are at the wedding, but with the vendors as well. Would you say that you've been able to really develop some great relationships with vendors as part of your career in the wedding industry as well?
Absolutely. For me, the wedding day is a team effort. It is not
Mm.
all about me. Every single vendor involved has a piece of that puzzle that goes into the wedding day. And I look at me as the wedding planner as just kind of being like the captain of the ship, kind of trying to guide them and allow them to be able to do their job and do their job well. So
Mm.
I take those vendor relationships just as seriously as I do my clients' relationships because I want them to shine on the wedding day. I want the clients to see that you hired them for a reason because they're phenomenal. And the best way I can do that is by leading them and allowing them to do their job. So those relationships are so crucial and so important. We do have at Southern Sparkle what we call our preferred vendor list. And that list I'm so passionate about because I know how much teamwork truly makes a dream work on wedding day. And I want my clients to have that best experience. So that's where this list comes into play. No one on my list is paid to be on my list. They're on my list because they're good and because I know that they're going to provide that phenomenal experience that all of my couples deserve.
That's important that you mentioned that too, because I think there is some information floating out there in the events industry about referrals and getting kickbacks and all of that. What are your thoughts about that?
I don't love that. I want my clients to know that I'm recommending this person because they're good at their job, not because I'm getting a kickback. I've had vendors offer me kickbacks, and I don't think they're doing it in ill will or to be, sneaky. I think they're just doing it to establish a relationship. So what I
Sure.
do in those situations is instead of you giving me $100, why don't you take $100 off my package for my client? Make it a
Mhm.
win-win. We can work together, but my clients are benefiting from it. So that's how we operate our business at Southern Sparkle. I want people to know that I'm recommending them because they're good, not because I'm getting paid to recommend them.
Absolutely. And you're recommending them because you've worked with them over and over again. You've had that experience with them, and you know that every wedding doesn't go the way anybody planned. We can plan a million times, and there'll always be something that comes up. So,
Always.
right. But you have a photographer, for example, maybe that is a little bit of a diva that would, not be so smooth with dealing with the changes in time or something like that. And then you have maybe another photographer who's more laid back, goes with the flow. Which one of those would you rather work with? And which one of you would you rather have your client work with?
Exactly.
Uh, so that's great that you have all those connections through the years and made those connections and are able to pass that knowledge on to your clients.
Oh yeah.
Would you say that your packages have kind of changed through the years? Like as the years have gone by, you've seen a need to adjust things, I can imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. We've definitely adjusted our packages based on our experience, what we know works and what we know doesn't work, and even down to it's the smaller, more intimate weddings, kind of creating packages just for those clients who don't want to have such huge weddings and want to have things more intimate. We've created packages for that as well. So, and even now, we're still at the end of this year. I have time dedicated to kind of review my packages and kind of maybe update and tweak it as we go. So it's constantly changing and tweaking for sure.
Yeah. Would you think that would you say being a part of the bridal society has helped you through this last 18 months or so with all this crazy COVID and rescheduling, having those
Absolutely.
connections? Have you found that it's been helpful to be a part of that group?
So helpful. Because Lori did such a good job of providing us information to guide us through this process down to templates of, COVID checklists, things to talk to how to talk to your clients, updated packages. So that has been a helpful thing. But not only that, but knowing that I am not alone in this season of madness, I look at 2021. I thought 2020 was hard. 2021 was harder because we were still dealing with a ton of postponements on top of the madness of 2020 of like, what did we just go through? And then diving straight into 2021 with our normal regular season on top of the postponements, you can, I felt like I was drowning at points. And to know that I have other members in the Bridal Society who are right there with me, we're like, we can do this, we got this, helping each other through this process. And then also being able to use each other for any tips or advice has been phenomenal.
Yeah, I can't even stress that enough. I know when crazy times come, especially for all of us now in the events industry, the one thing I try to remind all of the people who I talk to every day is everything is temporary. All the good things in life are temporary, and thankfully all the bad things in life are also temporary. So even though it's tough right now, and I know that everyone's rescheduling and doing pretty much double work, and then the people that are in the situation that you're in, trying to develop their business new and maybe have another full-time job, now they're doing triple work,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So it's just always such a balance. And I know that you have a new arrival in your family, and so you have two young boys who you're raising as a mother, and I can imagine that's quite a challenge as well, to be running this business and doing all these services for your clients, but also having a family. Tell me a little bit about how that's been to balance those things
Yeah,
out lately.
it's tough. I feel like every day is a different struggle with it. I did quickly figure out that as a wedding planner, as a business owner, and a mom and a wife, I have to create those boundaries. And there's a misconception with our industry for some reason that wedding industry vendors are available 24/7. I don't know. And it's not just planners. I'm seeing it with my photographers, with my rental companies, even that you can't just text us at 11 o'clock at night. Like we have to be able to cut it off. And I see that struggle with some of our bridal society members of how do I create that balance? How do I set those boundaries in place? And that I feel like the boundaries was the word of my year for 2021 was creating those limits, setting those office hours where I closed my laptop and I was able to enjoy spending time with my family. So that's where that balance has come into place. And the boundaries I've created have worked great. There are some days, obviously, where it's like, well, Jameson's not napping today. That's where that change comes in every day. But by having somewhat of a base structure, it allows me to be able to focus my time on my clients as well as my family.
That's right. There's nothing wrong with telling a client no.
Yes. And as a people pleaser, that's hard. But I have gotten really good at saying no. I'm very proud of myself for that, of, kind of knowing what my boundaries are. And it's hard for me to say no. It's hard for me to turn down business. But my calendar for next year is already closed because I'm taking on less weddings. I've built up this amazing team where we're able to still serve our clients, but I'm just going to kind of take on less. So that way I can also be able to spend some time with my family as well.
Just like any good parent, as a parent, you've learned it's okay to say no sometimes. It's for the best for the kid to say no, right? It's the same thing with a client. It's for the best that we not talk right now. Let's talk tomorrow during business when I can calm down from that crazy email you just sent me. But that's okay. Our clients are fun. They come up with ideas, and it's all, they haven't been through this process before. So I can imagine it's kind of a filtering process to be,
Completely. And I always joke, like, my job is more education based than anything, because like, you're right, not this is sometimes their first time doing this, where it's going to be my 200. I've done this a bajillion times before, so it's up to me to educate them on how this is going to work, how it's going to work better for them. And like I said, they're at the end of the day, their happiness and making sure that they're allowed to enjoy their day is my top priority. But
Mm.
sometimes some of their ideas may not work. And that's why they hired me. And I tell, our bridal society members that, because sometimes we have a hard time saying no or telling our clients the best advice. But that's why they hired us, is to provide them with that accurate information and advice on how to ensure their wedding day goes as smooth as possible.
That's absolutely true. It's so vitally important that we understand as wedding planners, there is a reason they hired us, and it's not just to be a yes person. It's
Yes.
to actually be honest with them and give them, here, I think that we might want to go a different route, and let me tell you why, and
Right.
explain
Yeah.
why it is. And they understand that. They want their wedding to go as smoothly as possible as well. So
Yeah, and they truly appreciate it because sometimes my clients will go, "Oh, I didn't even think of that," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I do. That these are the only thoughts I have in my head."
that's right. That's right. So, what advice would you give to a wedding planner who maybe hasn't taken the time to become certified yet? They're going along. They're making, they have their business established. They've been around for a while. They're seasoned. Would you still recommend that they get their certification?
Yes, 100%. And I would recommend it to planners who are, seasoned and have been doing this for a while because it's so much more than a certification.
Mm,
You get that family that is so desperately needed in an industry that can be really cutthroat and
mm,
what's the word, like high schoolish. It's not like that with the bridal society at all. You get that family. You also get that benefit of continuing your education. I know we've got our planner summit coming up here in a few weeks. I'm so excited about that because I get to continue growing and continue learning. And like you said, this is an industry that's always changing. So even if you've been doing this 10, 15 years, you still need to be on top of what's going on in the industry. And we update and tweak the Bridal Society conference every single year because new information is out there. So you should definitely take the time to gain that information. We've had, people take the conference who's been in the industry for 30 years and they leave the conference thinking, wow, I learned something, or wow, I realize I'm doing this wrong, but I definitely want to adjust it and do this better.
sure.
So it's totally worth it, and it's really worth it for the new ones out there as well. I feel like when I took it, like I said, I had been in my business for almost a year, so I didn't do too much damage with the first year. But I feel like if you take the certification in the beginning, that you don't make a lot of mistakes because we don't
Mm,
want to see you make those same mistakes that Lori and I made. We want to set you up for success. And I think when you take the certification at the beginning of your career, it's going to set you up for that success without having any of the pitfalls and failures that may occur.
I love that. There's always going to be bumps in the road, but anything we can do to help smooth those bumps out and
Exactly.
provide that support that you're going to need. If you're interested in wedding planning, you are going to need some support. So that's what we're here about at the Bridal Society. And we're so grateful to have you as part of it as well, Krisy, not only as one of our master certified wedding planners, but also now as a co-instructor. It's your knowledge and your expertise is something that we really value here, and we value all of our members. But so tell us, before I let you go, tell our listeners, if they're planning a wedding, first of all, congratulations. But if you're in the Nashville area or Tennessee in general, or the Southeast, it sounds like, tell them how they can get in touch with you, Krisy.
Yeah, so you can visit our website, Southern Sparkle Weddings with an S.com. We are also on Instagram at Southern Sparkle Weddings, and then also on Facebook as well. So definitely check that out. You can see some of our work, meet our amazing team members, and contact us. We would definitely love to be a part of your day. Even though my calendar is booked, I've got an amazing team of master and certified wedding planners who are open and willing to take your wedding.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. I can't believe this time has gone by so quickly, Krisy, but thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Phil. I appreciate you so much.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you soon. And thanks everyone for joining me on Planner in the Press. If you have any questions about wedding planning certification, please take a look at thebridalsociety.com. And if you'd like to join us at our wedding planner summit this year, it's on December 6th, 7th, and 8th. It's virtual. There'll be interactive time that you can talk with your fellow wedding planners from all around the country, all around the world. There'll be educational sessions as well. And we even have a fun murder mystery that you'll be able to participate in if you so choose. So take a look at thebridalsociety.com and just click on Planner Summit, and please join us. So thanks so much again, Krisy. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye now.